Well, hey everybody, it's Atlan. What's going on? And this video has been a long time coming. It's been in the works for a while. I just haven't got around to it. And I'm doing it inside today because it is 3 degrees Fahrenheit outside. So it's not really conducive to being outside at all. It's brutal out there. But I wanted to create this video and show you guys my bike packing build. Now, if you follow the channel, you've seen this bike already a few times. I've shown it briefly. I've kind of showed it in passing, but I wanted to do a full breakdown of the bike, kind of the backstory of what caused this build to happen, and future plans and what I plan to do with it going forward. But before I get into that, please make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. It really helps me. It helps out the channel a lot. Please. It takes 5 seconds. And if you're not interested in the backstory of this bike and how I decided to do this build and everything, you can skip to the timestamp below and go straight to the breakdown of the bike and the parts and all that good stuff. So this bike does have a backstory. It has an interesting story, kind of a sad story. So in 2020, I bought or at the height of COVID, I bought this really cheap bike at a bike shop in Columbus, Ohio. It was a Cannondale, but it was very, very well loved, I guess you'd say. I paid 150 bucks for it, but I swear it must have been owned by a kid or a very careless adult or something, because the bike was thrashed. And I did a whole video about that bike and my first bike packing experience, if you want to check that out as well. But that kind of started me down this journey of bike packing and really being interested in this idea of bike packing. I took that bike along with my son and my nephew and my brother-in-law. We all went to the Greenbrier River Trail, which is in West Virginia and is an absolutely amazing trail. Wow, it was beautiful. And that was like a life-changing kind of experience for me. It just really turned the corner on me wanting to do much more of this. Because I've always been a bike person. I love bikes, I love riding, and I love backpacking, of course. So this was kind of the best of both worlds. You know, I could be on a bike, could ride a lot farther, travel more distances, and put all my gear on the bike instead of on myself. And it was just another avenue of exploration and adventure. And I tell you, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the gear, and I had a lot of the gear already. A lot of things I was using for backpacking works for bike packing as well. And I'll do a whole video at some point on a breakdown of my gear. With that whole experience, I decided that I wanted to go all in on this thing, and I wanted a bike packing bike. I wanted a dedicated bike, and I wanted something that was, I had no idea about bike packing bikes, what people were using. It was all new to me, all of it. So I put out there on Facebook to my friends. I said, does anybody know anything about bike packing bikes, and what should I get, and where should I look, and all these things. And my friend Steve reached out to me, and he said, you should get a Surly, man. They're steel frames. They're awesome bikes. They're used for bike packing a lot. They're kind of the go-to for bike packing. And I didn't know anything about Surly's at the time. I knew about their sister company, which is Salsa. I knew Salsa bikes. I was looking at a lot of those. They're owned by the same umbrella company, Quality Bike Products. So they own Surly and Salsa, and they used to own All City, which is no longer in production. But just when it comes to steel bikes and just high quality bikes. So I knew nothing about Surly. I knew nothing about the brand. I knew nothing about what was good and what people were using. So my friend Steve, he steered me in the right direction. He ended up finding this frame on Facebook Marketplace for me, used, in Athens, Ohio, which is only 2 hours from me and happens to be where my sister-in-law lives. So I'm in Athens all the time. So he found this great deal on this bike frame, the frame and the fork. And he said, hey man, you should go check this out. And I was in love with this color. I just immediately fell in love with it. And plus the fact that I think just by happenstance, the individual selling this frame was actually a bike mechanic. So he had everything lubed properly, immaculately taken care of. not even like a paint scratch, maybe like a little nick here and there. It was in amazing shape, and it was a great deal, and the seller, he just really wanted to break even on the purchase, so he wasn't inflating the price, and it was love at first sight. Steve helped me out with that. He hooked me up with the frame, and I went and picked up the frame, and then in addition to that, I was like, well, I got to start doing this build now. Where do I do? Where do I go from here? Well, it just happened that Steve owned about 6 or 7 bikes, and about half of them were Surleys. And he had a Surly Ogre that he immediately upgraded, so he disassembled it, took the seat off, took the drivetrain off, took the crank, several other pieces off of the bike, and he offered me the parts from that bike, and he said, just drive over to Indiana. He was about 2 hours west of me in Indiana, so I drove over there, and it's so nice that this Volt saddle, he gave me the cassette, he gave me the Advent X shifters, which is Advent X Trail Pro. Microshift is a very good company. You know, they're not super high-end, but they are nice. And just getting me started out riding, it was absolutely fantastic. And these parts all worked perfectly on this frame. They worked great because the Ogre and the Bridge Club are very similar in design, and really Ogre they're interchangeable parts for a lot of the pieces. So worked out really, really well. I was so grateful to him for helping me out and just steering me in the right direction, getting me started on this build. We had big plans. We had plans to go riding, to go bikepacking and exploring. Unfortunately, Steve passed away in May of last year. I don't know the whole story. I don't know really what happened, but very sadly, he passed. And it was extremely hard for me. I didn't even really know him that well, but just the fact that he was so nice to me and gave me these parts and went out of his way to help me find this bike frame and everything, he was a good man. And it hit me pretty hard because we were close in age, and just made me realize how important life is, how quickly it can be taken from you. And I miss him, and I'm forever grateful to him for helping me out with this bike build. For that reason, this bike is dedicated to him, and I'm never getting rid of this bike. Even if I stop riding it, it has sentimental value, so it's not going anywhere at this point. So I'm not a bike mechanic, so you know, I can do things like changing out discs, brakes, and things like that, you know, putting handlebars on, stuff like that. But when it comes to running the cabling and all the things that I had to do with this frame, I took it to 2 different bike shops to get it worked on. And collectively, both shops did a fantastic job getting me in the right place with it, getting me, you know, in a good place, in a good condition, and ready to roll. And, you know, I did not put super high-end expensive parts. Again, we're talking about Microshift cassette with the Advent X derailleur here, which is nice, but it's certainly not super high-end. It's not super expensive at all. The Trail Pro shifter, which is also very nice. My brakes I purchased off Amazon. These are hydraulic. They're just the simple Shimano 2-piston, I forget the exact model, but they're 2-piston hydraulic brakes, but they have been amazing. The crank set here is just a Sunrace. Again, that is not a super high expensive brand, but it's definitely not junk either. Sunrace is decent. I'm running a KMC 10-speed chain. This is a 1x. I did put a 180 millimeter disc up front for better stopping power and just more grip. I did add a little bit of flare with some wolf tooth components. I had wolf tooth on some other bikes and really love the look of their anodized parts, and I think this purple really accents the bike itself. It really gives it a pop, and I love the purple. It just looks, it looks great. Again, the WTB Volt seat. I may swap this out with a Brooks leather saddle, debating. They're kind of pricey, but I keep hearing how amazing they are, and I have to have one for long touring and riding. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. I did add PNY flat pedals. I think these are I believe they're called the range pedals. And they're composite, but they are super nice. Got a really wide platform. I'm a flat pedal kind of guy. I like flat pedals, and I think they work great. The wheels are from a company called Stay True. Again, these are budget, inexpensive rims, but they're not the cheapest either. These rims are actually, Stay True is from a company, they're like a sub of a company called DT Swiss, if you've ever heard of DT Swiss. That is a subset of DT Swiss, so they're kind of the cheaper version, but they are assembled in the US, so that's kind of a cool thing. And then for tires, I have the Vittoria Mezcal tires. These are 27.5 by 2.1s, so they kind of give me some grip, but also less rolling resistance, so I can go on pavement and go off-road if I want. So I can, you know, it is an all-terrain bike, so I can do quite a bit with this thing. It's very, very versatile, and the steel frame is super strong. Up until about a week and a half ago, I had a flat bar from FSA, full speed ahead, that I had on my Cannondale, and it was just a straight flat bar, and I decided that it was kind of causing me some pain. It was causing me neck pain and wrist pain and all kinds of stuff. So I did a bunch of research and found that most bike packers with Surleys were using the Surly Moloko bars, which is what these are right here. And yes, they are funny looking, but I do not like drop bars very much unless it's like strictly a road bike. But any kind of adventure bike, I wanted a flat bar type of thing. But the sweep on these bars will give me a much better, more comfortable position and more upright. But then I also have the ability to lean more forward with the horns on these. And I think these bars are going to be absolutely fantastic. In addition to the bars, I changed out my grips from just regular mountain bike grips, and I put these touring grips on. These are the Ergon GP1s, and they're just kind of like the lower level Ergons, but they are nice and comfy, and they give a lot of wrist area for resting the wrists, and I think it's going to be fantastic. And of course, with the Surly Bridge Club, this is an all-terrain bike. It is meant for bike packing. It is meant for touring, exploring. You've got all the brazons. You've got the brazons on the fork. You've got them on the body. You got a top. You know, you've got them on the top of the down tube, on the bottom of the down tube. There are a lot of options of ways to mount things on this bike and make it just however you want to do it. So I did do a couple bike packing trips on this thing last year and just had a blast, and just, you know, kind of have been tweaking it and making it more of my own, which is Surly's, that's their motto, right? Make it your own. And that's what I've been doing, making it my own. And I am just in love with this bike. I love the way it feels. I love the way it rides. The steel is so comfortable and just bouncy. It reminds me of when I had my motorcycles, and I love it. I just absolutely love it. So very excited about the upcoming season for bike packing. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to take this baby out and try to do some longer trails this year, and, you know, maybe get up 60, 100 miles plus trips, and just really put it through the paces and see if there's anything else that I need to tweak or change. Very, very excited about it. All right, guys, so that's just a quick look at my Surly Bridge Club and my bike packing rig, what I'm going to be using for the very foreseeable future. I don't see myself changing it anytime soon, but I love it. If you have any questions about the Bridge Club or my setup or what I'm doing here, leave them in the comments and I'll try to get back to you about it. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys soon.